I think it's a challenge to give a talk after lunch. Everybody's half asleep. At least I was, until I had a good coffee. So I'll be talking today about cybersecurity in the quantum era, and mostly about quantum technologies and how they can impact our future and what it means for security in the internet. So how many people know about quantum technologies? Okay, how many people understand how the quantum technologies works, more or less? Okay, so less people understand about quantum technologies than they know. I think it will be strange to be the other way around, to have more people understanding quantum technologies than people who know about. But in the quantum world, that's usually strange. You have things which are in two places at the same time. So you don't understand quantum technologies, but the interesting thing is that you can use quantum as a resource. You can do things which you cannot do classically. You have stronger correlations, and you can have better computers, you can have better sensors, and better communications. Okay, so roughly the plan, I will talk about the quantum threat and what it means, and the two solutions to that threat. And in the end, I will have a state-of-the-art, what's going on at the international level, what's going on in Romania, and some thoughts for the future. Okay, so I think everybody talks these days about digitalization this, digitalization that. It's everywhere in the media. We have Digital Europe. There are hundreds of programs for digitalizing regions, digitalizing everything, your life. More recently, in Romania, you have this government cloud, which is a huge infrastructure. They want to move all your data and the government data in the cloud. And of course, the main problem with that is the cybersecurity, which, how do you secure this for leaking? And we've seen here a huge number of vectors of attack. You can do it classically. So clearly, cybersecurity is important. Cryptography, it's basically everywhere. We do it every day. I think every single person in this room uses crypto today tens of times. From the car, when they get into the car, you have cryptography in the car fob. From ATMs, internet banking, you obviously use it every day. When you open a door, and of course when you're on the internet and you update your system, it's strong security. Okay, so one slide about classical crypto and how it works. Very basic. There are two types of securities of cryptography. It's symmetric cryptography, where the key, Alice, for example, Alice wants to talk to Bob on a secure, to send a secure message, and basically uses cryptography. So the two types of cryptography are symmetric cryptography, in which the encoding key is the same as the decoding key. And examples are AES, the Advanced Encryption Standard, 256 or 512, and the one-time pad, which is the only cryptography which is informationally theoretically secure, as proved by Shannon. So you cannot break it if there are certain conditions met, like the key should be the same length as the message, it's used only once, and you discard it afterwards, and it's completely random. In that respect, you cannot break the one-time pad. But it has other problems, because you have a huge key which has to be the same length as the message, which is not convenient. The other type of security of cryptography, it's asymmetric cryptography, in which the encoding key is different from the decoding key. So basically, Alice has a private key which keeps secret and publishes the encoding key, which is everyone knows about it. So everyone who wants to communicate with Alice encrypts the message with a public key, and only Alice with a private key can decode it. Of course, all this is used in several protocols and several cryptographic primitives, like authentication, digital signatures, privacy, security, and so on. So what is the problem then? Because we've been using crypto for many years, and So far, it was fundamental to securing our rights, to securing our shoppings and whatever we do on the internet. The main problem is that a quantum computer will break the internet security, so will break the RSA, will break the signature which are used today. So this is a threat which we have to anticipate and to see how we can solve it. So that means secure communications, digital signatures, as I mentioned, the mobile networks, the 5G, the critical infrastructure, authentication, and whatever it uses asymmetric crypto, which uses basically public key cryptography. That's broken, and is broken by a quantum computer. So what became known as the Q day or the quantum apocalypse is the day when you will have, or someone else will have, a sufficiently strong quantum computer which can break RSA. We're not yet there, but we know this is a threat and we have to prevent it and to mitigate it. And one of the, I think, most important threats is the software updating, because whenever you update your software, Microsoft, Apple, whatever, there is a signature. So the update is signed digitally by Apple or by Google or by Microsoft. And if a hacker can break the private key of the update, they can push an update to you and basically break havoc in your system, in your computer, and especially in cars. I mean, if you hijack the car, we've seen what happens at a classical level when you hijack basically with a classical attack. Okay, so I think the first question is, how serious is the threat? Can we break it today? Can we break it tomorrow? What about 5 years from now? So quantum computing is estimated to be a 65 billion industry by 2030. So we have less than 10 years. And there are already vendors out there which sell you these computers. They are not powerful, but they are computers which can do a lot of damage in the future. The one here, it's IBM. It's IBM System 2, which will be launched late this year. They already have a System 1, so now they're System 2. There is Xanadu, which is a startup in Toronto. Quandela, which is in France. Pascal, which is a French startup, and AQT, ACT, Alpine Quantum Technologies, which is an ion trap computer, and it's Austrian. So we can see there are many platforms, from superconducting qubits to optical qubits to atoms to ion traps. There are many countries involved: US, Canada, Google has one in the research labs. So this is growing. You can't break it right now, but what about in 5 years from now? Can someone guarantee that there will be not an apocalypse? So what are we going to do when that day comes? So I think one of the most convincing pieces of evidence is the IBM roadmap. So when a company as big as IBM puts out there a development roadmap for quantum computer, and they tell you exactly what quantum systems you'll have from hardware, how many qubits, what is the quantum volume they do that, and the full stack implementation on that of kernel developers, algorithm developers, front end, and so on. And they know that, for example, this year they will have 1,000 qubits, and they'll have much more, 10,000 qubits in the next few years. Then I think you should pay attention, and you should understand that they're serious about that. They will get a quantum computer, and at some point, what happens to classical crypto when we have that? So there is a very simple equation called Mosca equation. Michele Mosca is a well-known quantum cryptographer at Waterloo University in Canada, and it says very simply: if x plus y it's bigger than z, then worry. Where x is the migration time. How much time do you need to migrate all your infrastructure from what you have now, which is basically breakable by a quantum computer to something which is quantum safe or quantum secure. And Y is the second variable. It's the shelf life, or shelf time of the information. How much time do you want that information to be secure? And of course, that's information dependent. For your bank card or for your, let's say, credit card, you need 3 or 4 years. You don't need it more than that. You can throw it away after 4 years. But there is information out there which has to stay secure 50 years, like diplomatic cables, like your personal medical data. You don't want that information to be decrypted and leaked after 5 years. You don't care about your credit part, but you do care about your information, medical information and medical history. So different type of information has different shelf life. So basically, if the shelf life of your information you want to be secure, plus the migration time is bigger than the time it takes for the world to develop a quantum computer, then you should worry. So the danger zone. So if the migration time plus the shelf life time of the information is bigger than the threat, the time it takes a viable quantum computer to be on the market, then you have in a danger zone. Okay, so what are the solutions? What shall we do? So in order to prevent the Q-day, or the quantum apocalypse, or there are basically two solutions. One is the classical way, and the other is the quantum way. So the classical way is basically finding quantum-resistant public key classical algorithm, what is known as post-quantum cryptography. So these are classical algorithms which basically are resistant or are known to be resistant, because so far nobody knows if they will not break or someone will break it. There is no theorem, mathematical theorem, which proves that, yes, this algorithm is secure for whatever attack. So far, we don't know. So this is the classical way, or the post-quantum cryptography. It doesn't involve, let's say, a big change in infrastructure. The second way is the quantum way, and the first step is quantum key distribution. And basically, the main message here is to use the power of quantum technologies plus the symmetric key, symmetric cryptography, and ensure security, because we know that symmetric key cryptography is less vulnerable than public key. So you can break discrete logarithm on a quantum computer, you can break RSA, so factorization, on a quantum computer, but you can't easily break the AES. Okay, so what's the status of public key crypto systems? So what we know, what is compromised are RSA encryption, Diffie-Hellman, and elliptic curve cryptography. So all these are vulnerable to a quantum attack. So they will not be used in the future. So far, what is safe? Lattice-based crypto, code-based, and hash-based crypto. And there is a gray zone, which we don't know yet the security, and that's multivariate and isogeny-based. I'm not going to talk about that. So I just want to give you a general overview and what's going on in this. In order to mitigate this, NIST, National Institute of Science and Technology, so the one who is giving the standards in the United States, they launched a competition several years ago. There have been several selections from about 40 or 60 algorithms. They trim it down to a handful. And what is funny, they published a list in 22, that was last year, so I think it was July. And a couple of months, 2 months later, one of the finalists has been broken already by a laptop. So that's out. And what remains basically are 4 algorithms: Crystal, Kyber, Crystals, Dilithium, Falcon, and Sphinx. Oops, sorry. So 3 of them are based on lattice, so it's lattice-based crypto, and the last one is hash-based. And because there are so few, and they're worried that one of them might be cracked, basically they launched a 4th round of competition for call for proposals for new algorithms for post-quantum cryptography. So these are classical algorithms which are quantum resistant. Okay, so this is an interesting white paper released by World Economic Forum also last year, about a year ago. And analyzing the field, they say 20 billion digital devices will need to be upgraded or replaced with post-quantum crypto in the next 20 years. That means ATM machines, that means HSM modules, everything which uses crypto. Your fridge, if you have an IoT fridge, your modem, everything which uses in one way or another, crypto has to be replaced. And the problem is that for some of these systems, it's not as easy as pushing an update because they are hardware-based. How do you replace the chip in these systems? So that's getting much more complicated. And they say organizations should start planning for this transition now. Okay, so PQC, post-quantum crypto, as we said later, it's already there. It's out there and is deployed partially. For example, Signal, probably many of you know this protocol, the Signal protocol, which is used including in WhatsApp and so on. Recently, they said on their webpage and on that basically the new update contains already, and it's enhanced by post-quantum crypto to protect for future threats of quantum computers. So it's already out there, it's already in your phone if you use Signal. And Chrome also, a beta version of Chrome has a Kyber key encapsulation module, again, to secure for post-quantum crypto. So you see that there are big companies already pushing and making this transition towards post-quantum crypto. Okay, so the second way, that's the strange way. So we get here into a mystic world because quantum is very strange. And basically what it says is, why don't we use the power of quantum systems, quantum technologies, to fight against quantum computers? And that's indeed what they do with quantum key distribution, or QKD. You use quantum resources and quantum system to securely distribute keys. And then, once you have those keys, which are classical keys, you use those keys in symmetric crypto, like AES, one-time pad, and so on. So the main point here is that quantum solves two problems. One, you have true randomness, because when you measure a quantum system, it will be random. It's not a pseudo-random, which has problems, as you know. I think von Neumann once said that whoever thinks they can generate algorithmically random numbers is, of course, in a state of sin. I like this quote. So, of course, you cannot generate random numbers by an algorithm, but you can generate it by physics, and that's exactly where quantum physics helps you. It generates true quantum random numbers, just by nature, by the nature of quantum systems. And the second way in which quantum can help is by securing the key distribution. So when you send a classical key, you never know if that key has been copied, has been intercepted, whoever has it, and so on. But in the quantum world, you know. Every disturbance, every measurement, every interception leaves a mark. And basically, eavesdrops are detected always on the channel. So they can disrupt your channel, they can cut your channel, they can have a denial of DOF attack. But once you establish a key, and you have certain measures to see that key is secure by measuring the quantum bit error rate, you know it's secure and no one else could have had that information. So the information couldn't leak. Okay, so why does it work? I can have a whole lecture about this, but I think it's much more simple to say there are two things. There's the quantum no-cloning theorem. You cannot clone an unknown quantum state. So a classical signal you can always clone, you can copy it multiple times, and you leave no marks. In the quantum world, this doesn't work, because you have one photon, you have one single quantum state, and you cannot clone it. It's a theorem, and we know it works. So that means Eve, who intercepts the signal, cannot copy perfectly your quantum state, which Alice sends to Bob. And the second, a measurement of the state always disturbs the state, always leaves a mark. It collapses the wave function. So that will leave a mark in a higher quantum bit error rate, or Q error. So it's detectable. So every time Eve can intercept and she wants to send something else, she will perturb the channel, the quantum channel, not the classical channel. And basically, classically, this is impossible. So this is where quantum helps you. Okay, so what's the status? There are commercial QKD systems you can buy. These are a couple of companies, ID Quantique, Swiss, Think Quantum Italian, Toshiba, everybody knows about Toshiba, Quantum Telecom Italia, KeyQuant. So they're sprouting basically every few months. So everybody produces one of such systems. They're compact, you can carry them on your backpack. So they're built to be put in this 19 inches rack. But they're expensive. So basically, they're about 150,000 to 300,000 euros per pair. So you always need to have an Alice unit and a Bob unit. So the transmitter unit, the quantum transmitter, and the quantum receiver. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay, so what about networks? Because this is point-to-point. So that's another problem, and so far, people are trying to solve it. The QKD systems are point-to-point. So in order to go to the next level, which is quantum communication networks, you need a key management system. So you go A to B, B to C, C to D, and so on. You can have any network topology you want, but the node has to be trusted, at least in the first generation. The future generation will involve, they're more challenging, and they will involve much more quantum resources, which at the moment, like quantum memories, we don't have. But researchers are working on that. So, and they will provide advanced functionality, like the future quantum internet, entanglement distribution, and so on. So far, the first generation will be just key distribution point-to-point. And these networks are already there. British Telecom are using the Toshiba ones, and they're researching, and they have links, secured links with quantum cryptography. And there are companies interested in that in financial companies, banks in Switzerland, and so on. Okay, so basically, you have a trusted node. How it works, you have a quantum channel, which you distribute a key in a secure way. So this is the only quantum part. The key management system, which basically sends the key towards other nodes, because if you don't have a direct link A to D, you have to basically transport the key. It's a key transport layer. That's all it is. It's completely classical. And then you have the encryption. When you have your data, you take your key from the key management system and your database, and then you compute it. I mean, it's just a classical encryptor which you buy on the market these days. So the only quantum part is the quantum channel, which assures to distribute the keys in a quantum fashion. Okay. So, coming to the last part of my talk, what's going on worldwide. Europe and the European Commission published a blueprint. Basically, they build now the quantum communication infrastructure, EuroQCI, and they're all 27 members, including Romania. It will have two components. It will have a fiber-based, ground-based component, and it will have a satellite-based component, in which you have a satellite with a quantum key distribution system on it, and it will have a ground-based station with a telescope, and they will distribute a key for long distance, like thousands of kilometers. This is a depiction of the satellite. They want to distribute the keys from the satellite with light-based, basically with lasers, attenuated laser. And it's on work. China. The problem is China because it already has the largest and the longest QKD system and network in the world. It has a backbone between Shanghai and Beijing, 2,000 kilometers. That's the distance between Bucharest and Brussels. And they put in 2016 the first quantum telecommunication satellite ever. And when Europe and the United States saw that, they basically panicked and basically they tried to accelerate the research and development. And just to give you a glimpse, only Hefei, which is one city on that big, you know how well you can see. So you can see the network, the backbone, has a 46 nodes intra-city quantum communication network between banks, military, universities, academia, and so on. So the main points of the government. Okay, what's going in Romania? We start working on this with Europe to do the ROQCI, or Romanian Quantum Communication Network, because Romania is a part of this. We did the national plans because Europe asked us what are the national plans, and we structure the plans in 4 phases. Phase 1, build 2 intra-city networks, Bucharest, Cluj. This kind of defines the north-south backbone of the country. Build then the backbone, optical ground stations for connecting to the satellites, which is the second component of the Euro QCI, and then the last phase, connect with the other national QCI like Bulgaria in the south and Hungary in the west. Phase 1 and 2 are already in the work now. In Polytechnic University, they have the program, they have money from the European Union to build a test network. Okay, so at the level of the strategy, we just finished a few weeks ago the Romanian national strategy in quantum communications. I led the project with Babeș-Bolyai University and the National Institute of Material Sciences. And we had, when we wrote the strategy, national strategy, we had 4 big pillars. One was research. You need research to push forward the boundaries. 2, you need education and training, because you cannot have an educated workforce without educating people, and you need people to do the research and to basically operate these new technologies. The third one is infrastructure. Of course, you have to build the infrastructure, the quantum infrastructure. And the last one is quantum industry, because you need the industry to take over the results from research and push them into development, and also to absorb the workforce. Because if you educate 100, let's say, graduates in quantum technologies and you don't have a market for them, they will fly away. So you'll have a brain drain, which you don't want. So you need the industry to take those people which you educate. Okay, so what's next? The next step will be the transition to quantum crypto, quantum-resistant crypto, or post-quantum cryptography, because that's the easiest one to implement. And as this leaflet, which you can download freely from NIST and NSA said, create a quantum readiness roadmap, see your inventory of quantum vulnerable systems, start a quantum risk assessment, and so on, and replace vulnerable system with quantum-resistant ones. Okay, so the take-home message, the Q-Day is coming is not a problem of if, but a problem of when. We don't know yet when. It's whoever will get the hands on a quantum computer. And the threat here is what is called the store now, decrypt later attack. So there are state actors which already suck all the information, even if they don't know how to decrypt it. They store it, and when they will have a quantum computer, then they will decrypt it. So this is the store now, decrypt later attack. So short term, it's post-quantum crypto. Medium term will be quantum cryptography, so all the full quantum devices, quantum channels, and so on. And the long term, it will be the quantum internet with full quantum power with many other functionalities, which at the moment we can't even dream. So I guess the message is prepare now and be safe later. And I think there is a new job in town, that of a quantum hacker. And I've seen articles on quantum hacking, how you hack into the device to look for vulnerabilities. So thank you.
Great presentation, by the way.
Thanks.
And my question is next. You talked about quantum key distribution, right?
Yep.
So why one-time pad is not used for now? Can you?
So one-time pad is the one, it's one cryptography which is known theoretically secure. So it was proved by Shannon. So that's a mathematical theorem. You cannot break the one-time pad. But that's expensive. It's expensive because you consume 1 bit of key per 1 bit of message. So if you want to send 4 gigabytes of data encrypted, you need 4 gigabytes of key. And that's not easy to, I mean, you can do it with QKD. So that's why you use symmetric encryption, in which you use, let's say, 512 bits of key per whatever. You can change the key. There are 2 proposals. When they designed the EuroQCI, there are proposals of volume or of time. You change the key every 5 minutes or 3 minutes, depends on your application. Or you change the key every 10 gigabits of data transmitted. So it depends on how you choose it. And basically, you know how to do the key. You basically distribute the key between your users. There are methods to do that, and then you consume the key. So the key is a consumable.
Okay, thank you.
You said that you can't eavesdrop on the quantum key, correct? Because it's going to change it.
No, you can't. You can't. Well,
exactly,
you eavesdrop, but once you eavesdrop, first, you cannot copy it perfectly. So you can intercept and resend it. But then you leave marks, because when you measure it, it will not be the same as expected. So you basically...
you are changing the state.
You're changing the state, yes,
variable.
because every time you measure a quantum state, you change it, okay. Which is not the case in the classical level, at the classical level. You can measure a state and you don't change it. So basically, what you know is that you'll have a high quantum bit error rate, and then you abort. And you know it's not secure. But once you have the key, once you distill the key, because what happens is you send, let's say, 1 million photons. And after this 1 million photons, you have a classical exchange on a non-encrypted classical channel, but is authenticated channel. So you need authentication on that channel to know exactly that Alice talks to Bob. And then you start sieving that key. And in the end, you, let's say, from 1,000 or million of photons sent between Alice and Bob on the quantum channel, you end up with 1,000 maybe of bits. But you know that those bits are secure. There's a lot of post-processing going on. Okay.
Is what is going to happen when the key transfer? It's going to go through like an IDS, IPS, everything that do packet inspection, because that is going to modify the key.
Basically, you don't send the key. So what you send is a quantum channel. So it's a dedicated fiber channel in which you send single photons. So there's no IP there, ITS. I mean, there's no protocol. So basically, you have an optical fiber between Alice and Bob, and basically you send the photons through that fiber. And after that, you just communicate on a normal internet network.
So basically, you need a different network just for the key exchange.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
A dedicated network. Or you can use, I mean, you can use the fiber network, which is already there, but it can be a dark fiber, and yeah, there are problems of, okay.
My question is actually on the jump between this theoretical model and the practical realization of this. Because even in regular fibers, you're not sending data with single photons. So in this, like, of course, if you have single photons, then that's true. You cannot measure it and then resend it perfectly because you don't know exactly if you measured correctly or not. So you cannot actually duplicate it. But if you're sending more photons, then you can still have an optical splitter, for example, in the fiber.
Yeah,
So
but you don't.
does it actually go a single photon at a time?
Yes. It's attenuated. You either use entangled photons or you use attenuated laser pulses, which are 0.1 average number of photons per, so these are known and they're researched. What is the limit, how much photons you can send? You basically check your source if it's attenuated enough and so on. So it's at the single photon level, pulse.
Okay, thank you.